Hello, and welcome to Discovering with Dr. Deb. We're new to podcasting, but I certainly hope this content is helpful to you. Over the course of the next couple seasons, I'll be sharing content about the Enneagram, trauma, and how living in this pandemic has added a lot of trauma to our lives, and how to move on from here. EMDR, eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing, and how it helps people move through and past their trauma, self-care, and more mental health stuff. We'll be spending the first season looking at the Enneagram and how you can use the Enneagram to learn more about yourself and why you do what you do. Discovering the Enneagram with Dr. Deb is next. Hello and welcome. This is Dr. Deb, and I'm here with Jason Gilmore, my Enneagram 3 expert, because you're an Enneagram 3.
Because I'm a 3. I don't know if I'm an expert, but I'll take it. I'll take that
Well, you're
title.
an expert on 3s.
Yes, I'm an expert on 3s.
Yes. So today we're sitting down with our friends, Amy and Andrew, who are both 3s. So we're going to learn a little bit more about what's it like to be a 3.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Do people know? I mean, do they ever get a real sense of a 3?
No, but hopefully they'll let us inside their world.
Okay.
They're going to let us inside their world today.
So what I wanted to start off with is just kind of a little overview from Suzanne Stabile. She's in Dallas, kind of a Enneagram guru, expert on all the numbers.
The Road Back to You.
She co-authored The Road Back to You with Ian Cron and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to read a little bit about 3s, and then we're going to get to know our 3s, Amy and Andrew, and kind of unpack a little so you have a good sense of what it's like to be a 3. So 3s sometimes they're called the admirable achiever or the performer. So they are performers, meaning that they are put together in a way that they can absolutely turn themselves into whatever is required for the moment. That goes back to that mask aspect of it. It's a fascinating gift that is equal gift and equal problem. They are often disconnected from feelings, and they're also disconnected sometimes from their own and other people's feelings. They are long-term goal setters and short-term goal setters. They set goals and they meet them very successfully. They measure their value by their accomplishments, even though what they want is just to be loved for who they are and not what they do. I love you.
My heart is full.
Just for being you.
My heart is full.
They measure their value by what they do, and we sadly fall into the trap of doing the same thing. They think little mistakes are big failures. And Suzanne used to say that 9s are the number that is the easiest to take advantage of. But she lives in Dallas, and she has seen a lot of times, too, that happens for 3s. They're often taken advantage of. People are all about success and moving forward, getting rid of old things, doing things a new way. And we use 3s for that because they get stuff done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're good at it, and they want to be respected and appreciated. So they give that to us, and it becomes a difficult thing to get out of. 3s are big picture thinkers. They take shortcuts sometimes, and sometimes that costs them, but not often enough that they stop taking shortcuts. They're the best cheerleader you can have. 3s see themselves as successful if the person they are championing is successful. Andrew, this made me think of you when I wrote that, because what is it that you say to the kids at night before they're going to bed?
Say that you could do anything you set your mind to, and then they repeat you set your mind to. So
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. And even Kai, he's 2, and he says that.
That's great.
3s are really great about using the right language to get what they want. They're nuanced in just the right way. That the other 8 number would make them kind of angry, but 3s somehow get away with it.
And what you mean by that?
Yeah.
Is if you're unhealthy,
yeah,
we tend to use manipulation.
Right.
But if we're healthy,
right,
we tend to use like more strategy.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
3s are building the fabric of our country. I mean, our country is made for 3s. The whole capitalistic, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and make things happen. Mm-hmm. We're very respectful of them. They want to be known beneath their abilities. So what's just hearing that, you guys, what does that sound like something you can resonate with, or does it sound familiar to you? Does it kind of bristle you when you think about all of that? Andrew, why don't you go first?
Yeah. I mean, I think it speaks right to my core. I remember the first time that I found the 3 profile. My wife shared an Instagram page for threes. It was Enneagram 3, and she shared it with me. And I was going through all of the pictures, and I was like, wow, there's a lightning striking me in the heart right now. so yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And the same for me. I quickly found out my number before I even read a book on it, before I did anything. As soon as I started seeing things about Enneagram 3s, I knew that I for sure identified with that. And then, of course, going through tests and things like that, I knew absolutely 1000% that I was a classic 3 in that moment. Yeah, I'm very much classic.
3 right there. Well, Amy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves? Tell us who you are, what you do, a little about yourself.
Okay. My name is Amy Sullins. A lot of people know me by Amy Cole Sullins because that is a part of my business name. I actually am a small business owner. I own 3 businesses. A new business is in the works.
That's
we own Amy Cole.
Yes, yeah.
We own Amy Cole Photography. It's for 12 years, we've owned Amy Cole Photography. We've shot weddings all over the United States. We also train photographers and strategists how to run their business. We also own Amy Cole Creative, which is a social media strategy firm. And we basically teach companies, small businesses, and churches how to run their social media accounts. And then we also have a new project in the works. It's called The Blusher, and it is going to be a bridal magazine for brides only. And it's basically going to give all the information that brides ask me 24/7 over text message. It's going to be a way to influence them. So that's my small business world. I'm also a pastor's wife, a worship pastor's wife. So my 3 comes in really handy when it comes to my husband because he is a 5. And so my 3 personality really shines in ministry world because I am for sure his right hand. And it's a really unique opportunity. Obviously, I'm a mom, and being a 3 has been very well served for being a mother of 3 kids. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. That's who I am.
Great. Thanks. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Andrew?
Yeah. My name's Andrew.
You can share how we're connected if you want.
Yeah, definitely. My name's Andrew Keel. My wife is Katie Keel, who is Dr. Deb's daughter. So that's how we know each other quite well. I am a husband of a 9, and we have three kids under 5. So busy household. I have multiple businesses going, mainly in commercial real estate. We back in 2017, we bought our first commercial property, and we've actually bought 35 properties since then. And we raise money from investors to buy self-storage and mobile home parks. That's what I do for work. In addition to that, I have a hobby that is doing Ironman triathlons, the races. So that's what I train for year round, and I enjoyed competing in those. Went to college, played football in college, so have an athletic background as well. And yeah, that's a little about me.
I played ball all the way through school.
You're competitive. Yeah.
Right. So really, my next question you both already answered. I always ask the number. Tell me you're an 8 without telling me you're an 8, or tell me you're a 3 without. You just did.
Both of them.
Got multiple businesses. I'm an Ironman.
Hands in lots of pots.
Yeah.
As you were reading that opening by Suzanne Stabile.
Yeah.
Because we have already introduced the 8s. I was mistyped as an 8 when I very first, and I kept thinking something's not right, but there were similarities. 8s can get things done too.
Right. Yeah.
8s maybe don't have the finesse or caress that a 3 does to get them done, but they can get things done.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, there's another number, and we've talked about that in other episodes,
right?
How they look a lot like another number. But is that something you guys experience?
I was mistyped as an 8. I still get mistyped as 8
Me
often.
Too.
I just think that I think when they finally get to know me and they see that my personality, I'm much more gentler than an 8.
Yes.
I've joked often that I don't typically have a lot of friends that are 8s, and that's not anything that I've, just try to prevent myself. But I think my personality is so bold and vibrant and joyful. And I think the 8s sometimes see that as a little bit intimidating because they don't always have that finesse in that person, in their personality. They're just very bold and, that blunt kind of personality. So yes, I was mistyped as an 8 often. And now I just advertise that I'm a 3, so nobody says I'm an 8.
Like insulting. Don't call me an 8.
Don't call me an 8. I'm not an 8.
That's kind of funny. Yeah. Well, how did each of you figure out that you're a 3, and what part really kind of stands out for you?
Go for it.
I'll jump in. So my wife actually, showed me the Instagram page. It was Enneagram 3, and I was just going through the pictures there. And like I said, it was like a lightning bolt that struck me. It was just like, okay, we're onto something here, right? Achiever, just that over and over, competitive nature, and kind of just, how I grew up in a athletic family, kind of always pushing to be your best. And it just spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same for me. As I was reading things through the Enneagram, as soon as it came out, I knew instantly when I read the 3 that it identified with my heart. Like I knew exactly what it was saying. I felt immediate connection to it. And then obviously as I took tests and, started really diving into what it meant, I knew for sure that this is exactly where I landed. And honestly, at the point that I found out, I was very unhealthy in that 3. Mm-hmm. And I think that's honestly what kind of jarred me to go, maybe I should, consider looking into this. Like I'm not operating very well inside of this.
So piggybacking off of what you said, Amy, if you guys are willing to share this, I know I have shared many times about the unhealth because I feel like that can help other people. Mm-hmm. I've been there. I recognize it, what are some things what is something that stood out to you when you were discovering about the Enneagram 3 that just made you feel yuck? Like that's one of the things that helped me, kind of piggybacking off of what you said, Amy, that made me feel like, I might be that person.
Yeah.
I need to change that.
Yeah. When I was in such an unhealthy place, I was in an unhealthy place just also mentally, just, we were in a hard church situation. If I'm being transparent, it was just a really difficult situation at that moment. And so there were lots of things that were factors in it, but I noticed that I was constantly trying to prove my worth to anybody and everybody around me, everywhere. I felt like I was very worthless in many avenues. And because of that, it made me overcompensate on telling people about my worth. It was almost like I had to prove myself every day. When I woke up every morning, I felt like I was proving myself, even though I didn't have to my husband, to my kids, to my friendships, ministry life. I was constantly fighting that. And when I read the 3 and I started really diving into like the unhealthy and the healthy, looks of that, I started realizing that I was very much operating in the season of unhealth. I was struggling for just someone to find worth in me, although I was being successful. I mean, if from the world looking in, I was very
But it's successful. What you need to hear. It's what you need to hear.
I was thriving, honestly. Like it's kind of weird to look back on how unhealthy I was in it, but it really did jar me, and it made me honestly seek counseling. That's when I stepped into counseling and started saying like, hey, something's wrong here. I need to get this worked out. So
good.
For sure, that was it.
Andrew, is there something that resonated with you when you were reading it? And you're like, oh, that doesn't like that.
Yeah. One thing that I have a tendency to do is I'll get so driven, like when I'm in the middle of my workday, for example, I'll get so driven on something. And also like I'm passionate about it. It's like I enjoy what I'm doing that, like, for example, like my dad would call me like in the middle of my day. And instead of picking up that phone call, which I could have squeezed in, I'll screen the call, right? Like, all right, I got to focus on what I'm doing. Or even sometimes like my wife will come over and, she just wants to say hi and she'll bring the kids to the office. And I'm like in the middle of like my thing, right? Like I'm zoned in and I may not give her the attention she deserves. So those are some things where I can find myself being in an unhealthy place.
Oh, Andrew, I can so relate to that.
He's like, oh, I feel that.
I tell, there's a joke that I say, I will return your text in 3 to 5 seconds or 3 to 5 business days. It depends whether I'm healthy or unhealthy.
And Jason, I've known you long enough to know that is true.
Exactly, isn't it?
I love that. I mean, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but how does the threeness look in your businesses? I mean, how does it show up? Well, Amy's just laughing.
I'm laughing because it's like, I
sighed. They were like,
yeah. I think it's like, honestly, I think it's why my business has succeeded. I look around me and I see photographers. I train photographers. So photographers come and sit inside of my home twice a year. And as I'm talking to them, I'm immediately pinpointing kind of like where they are Enneagram wise, because they're not willing to do this or this. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't understand why you won't do this. Like, because that 3 just thrives in me. And honestly, that's where it is. I think that's why I'm successful. I'm not saying it's the only reason, but I think that drive behind that personality, it just pushes me forward. It's a constant push. And I always want to up myself. Here lately, it's not trying to up anybody else. It's just like, what did I do in the past? Okay, well, I'm going to up that next year. I'm going to do better than I did, this past year. So it's a constant drive to do more. Yeah.
Andrew's nodding.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally relate to that. It's an ongoing battle of like, what's next? Alexander Hamilton is my favorite 3. And one of the songs in Hamilton, he's like, I will never be satisfied. And that's just it's me. That's me. Like, I'm always, what's next? Like I had my goal written on my refrigerator with dry erase marker to buy 10 mobile home parks in the next year. And we exceeded that and then some. Like now we're at 33 mobile home parks. So it's just like, there's no satisfaction. It's just always the next thing pushing and
always next. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say that, but I thought, no, I'm not going to, I don't want to let too much out. This is Andrew's story, not mine. Yeah. But I was thinking about the goals and that's the thing too, for 3s, like they don't want to just reach a goal. They want to crush a goal. That's what I've learned about the 3.
You want to be the best at the goal.
The best at the goal.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's not even enough to just be a 3 achiever. I got to be the best 3
you got to be the
achiever.
benchmark. If you're going to be,
yes.
You're going to do
every
something.
3 thinks they're the best 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's true.
This isn't like on the list of questions I sent, but like talk a minute, like sometimes you can get so zoned in. Andrew kind of alluded to this, that the relationships and feelings just get pushed aside. And that's where we go a little unhealthy. So how do you recognize when that's going on, and how do you adjust for that in your lives?
Go ahead, Andrew.
Throw the ball my way. Okay. I see. I would say like it depends on the situation, the whole feelings part, right? I mean, it's something I wrestle with every day. Like every day I definitely am not a master at this. But I think in times of rest, I realize, okay, maybe I need to call my dad back. That I should have done that, and I'll be thinking about, okay, maybe this Saturday, maybe Katie and I need to go have a date. I probably could have given her more attention, in that situation or not. So I think it circles back to me. But I do think that like I have feelings. I think it also depends on like the scenario, right? Like when I'm around my friends and family, I'm more vulnerable than when I'm like in the zone and it's go time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say for me, like we're going back to kind of, because I've made this pivotal, like healthy change in the past couple of years. So my personality, my Myers-Briggs, if you go that deep, it's an ENFP. So I'm a feeler by nature. Like I'm not a judger. I'm a feeler. Like I love connection. I love being around people. And I do like really authenticity, like in relationships. So that's where I think my wing sometimes shines. I think that's where my 2 also pulls in. But I will say that this is one of those things that I don't struggle with as much as a normal 3. because maybe I'm a mom, maybe it's the ministry world. I'm not sure what pulls that in, but this is one of the things that I always kind of turn off from personally in my own three. I feel like I try really hard to be available, just in everyday life. And I don't know, again, if that's just because I have to be. So, or it may just be that I'm a feeler by nature. So,
Deb, they were talking in terms of passion and drive. And I know Andrew, both of them really have said it, but have you found that often your passion, what you're passionate about or what you're driven about has been misunderstood? That drive or that passion has come across as maybe like a takeover or if you're involved with other people. A lot of times I've had that happen to me, and I was just thinking about that whenever Andrew was talking, like when you're very focused on something and you need to get it accomplished, and for me, even it's difficult to be in situations where this is hard to say for threes, but sometimes we don't always work well under authority. And the reason why
I was just about to say that.
And the reason why we don't is because sometimes we know we can do it better than they can. Like we're standing off to the side and we're going, if you would just do this, everything would be better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know that's really vulnerable,
Yeah.
but I'm in a place where I can say that now because I work for an 8.
And you have
previously.
And
I've always worked for 8s.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that the 8s that I've worked for haven't always been healthy. And I work for a great 8. But Amy, I related to you when we were talking on the phone the other day about me and 8s clash, and I've had to really check my own heart is like, okay, that may not be the way that I see that it can be done, but the end result can still be accomplished, And so I really had to, do you guys resonate with that statement?
I think personally, that's why you will find a lot of small business owners that are 3 or business owners in whole, because I have found that I can be a team player a lot of times if people are on my team. And I know that sounds crazy, but like a lot of times I love people but I want them to come with me because a lot of times I see things very differently than most people around me. And it's not, I always joke and say, it's not that I know how to do things better, but in a sense, I agree, Jason.
I do.
There's a lot of times where I'm like, I actually really do know how to do this.
Yeah.
I would prefer to do something myself and do it well.
Right.
And have, this is going to sound really bad, but have the accolade for doing it myself than I would bringing in somebody else, because honestly, I just know that if I just put my hands on it, then I'll get it accomplished. And then I don't have to worry about anybody else. I can just do it myself. And so a lot of times that is what I end up doing.
Yeah. And to piggyback on that, because I've struggled with that as well, but I realized that I was capped. Like I couldn't always do everything myself. So then my new mindset like shifted to, how can I delegate better and create systems so that like the systems are what I obsess about now? How can I build out a training for this person so that when I hire them, they can't screw it up? And that's,
it's true. It's true.
So we won't get into subtypes here, but one of the subtypes that you just described, one of the subtypes,
right,
where they love to bring people in and get them up and help like develop them or help them do it the way that it needs to be done the right way, So very interesting.
And so I've worked with a lot of 3s because I work with a lot of professionals, especially right now, a lot of physicians and things like that. So one thing I've noticed, they've said it similarly to you guys, like that they want to give me the ball, I will run it in.
Yeah.
But they've also said it's not that I might always do it better, but I just want it done my way. I want to do it the way I want it done.
And we know we can get it done.
And they know they'll get it done. They'll never publicly admit, though, that maybe somebody could have done it better or differently.
Well,
but
sometimes
I
you
want
look
it done
down at
my
the ball
way.
and you go, why is this ball in my hand? It's because I took it
right
and ran down the field when really I could have
Right.
I don't need to be doing this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I've learned too, is like, okay, let's help me prioritize what things what ball I need to have in my hand at that moment.
And that speaks to that. Sometimes they kind of get taken advantage of, because they will just take it and run with it instead of inserting themselves. Has that happened for you guys, or do you not really?
So often.
There wasn't even applause, Amy.
No, because people know that I will do it. I mean, in transparency, they know I'll do it, and they know I'll do it well.
Right.
If I'm going to do something, it's not going to be halfway. It doesn't matter what it is, because I want people to know that I can do it. And that's where that worth part comes in for me. I want people to know that I can do things, and I can do them really, really well if they'll just hand me the ball. But because of that, a lot of times I've been handed things, which then causes exhaustion because you're doing too many things, but we still do them because you're definitely not going to turn that ball back over once you have it, because I'm a 3 and I've got to accomplish it.
Amy, I remember something. I'm going to tell a quick story on Amy. I remember something whenever your kids went to City Heights when they were in Van Buren, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I remember Amy one time, this was before, we really even knew about our 3-ness, but I remember Amy, us talking one time, Josh and Amy and Shelly and I were talking, and Amy had inserted herself to be like the homeroom mom or something. And she
was like the president.
She was running those parties. She was running those parties for those kids. And I remember thinking I would do that because I would know that our parties would be the best daggum parties in the school.
And mine were.
I know. And I remember thinking that at that point, gosh, we're a lot alike in that way. And now I realize
there is nothing sweeter than going into a room, Mom, and then those parties being huge and every other mom going, how did you do that? And you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know.
That's funny.
And you just feel amazing. That's a 3 right there.
Yes,
that's a 3.
It is.
Yeah. Nothing says 3 like knocking it out of the park.
Yes.
Well, we're going to knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Go big or go home. That's what I like to say.
Come on, Andrew. You've been a room dad, right? At some point, you've done something for your kids like that.
I mean, man, I'm trying to think. Yesterday, I kind of, took on a lot, and we were like fishing, and we were painting, and we were doing all the things, and it was like, oh my goodness, we're making a mess here. Mom,
but you felt proud.
Help clean up.
That's
yeah.
I love it. Oh, that's good.
Kind of segue. I wanted to talk for a second about like your family of origin dynamic, and how did that impact you being a 3? I know, Andrew, you kind of mentioned like athletic family, kind of competitive. So can you kind of talk a little more about what that looked like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So my dad owned multiple small businesses, growing up. So that obviously was a seed planted very early on. And then my dad played college basketball. So that competitive nature was there. And I have 2 younger brothers that are very athletic. Both of them played basketball in college. I was a little bit different. I chose to play football in college. But it was always competing against them, competing against my dad. And I remember, it'd be midnight, Saturday night, and we had played games all day, and then it's midnight and all 3 of us are out on the basketball court playing against each other. And my dad's like, getting us to, get at each other and, hey, come on, instigating like, competitive nature. And that's just, how I grew up. It was just normal to, have that competition.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So same with me. My dad was a business owner my entire life, which is hilarious. But I think like as much as that played a huge role in my life, I had a mom that left when I was younger, and she struggled my entire childhood, just struggled. She never fit. She never found anything that she was passionate about. And it just was a constant struggle in our home. And so as much as my dad, I think, played a role in it as far as him owning businesses, I think watching my mother struggle with never having drive and never having, a passion for something.
Yeah.
I am so passionate about everything that I do. And I think it's a large part to both of those things. I think both of those sides played a role because I am very different as a business owner from my dad. But at the same time, I fight this as well. I fight that lack of drive, I guess you would say. I mean, I'm obviously not trying to speak ill will towards, but that's just the way that her life was. And so it put that passion in me to like go forward, do something big.
And I'm the youngest. This is interesting. I'm the youngest it's just me and my brother.
Yeah.
And my brother, very athletic, very popular, just very, I mean, he just was very, someone that I looked up to. So, we're 6 years apart, so there's a little bit of age difference there. And mine, I think, was I got to keep up with that.
Yeah.
And so as I grew, like in childhood, I remember thinking, I've got to be better. Like I'm not quite that good.
And you were a PK.
And I was a PK, so that's another thing. Yeah, and Amy was as well. So, being a PK is one of those things where you automatically learn to put masks on.
Right.
And that's a big difference.
Right. Right. Yeah. So can you guys even talk to that? Like, so that's one of the things, when I learned I was a 9, well, I was mistyped as a 2 for a long time. No, a 7. I thought I was a 7.
Yeah.
But even when I correctly learned I was a 9 and you look and it's like sloth and we automatically look at like the negative aspects of our numbers. I think 3s do that less than other numbers.
We do that last.
Yes, I'm an achiever.
We do that last.
Yeah.
We look at what we're good at first and like, tell me more. And then we'll be like, oh yeah, we might need, let's sweep that in.
We'll skip that. We don't talk about our bad stuff.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Yeah.
Let's not talk
about Bruno. Exactly.
But for a 3, it's that they wear masks and deceit, right? It talks about deceit because they want
it's our core deadly sin.
It's like core deadly
core
sin.
Weakness.
Yes. Yep. It's so important that they look good. And they have this family group and friend group and church group, and they want to look good in each of their groups. So they may wear the mask. Talk a little about that.
So I have literally manipulated situations to make in unhealth. And I know they're laughing. Look, they're laughing. Okay. I'm not afraid to say it. Because I am better now.
I thought I'd put him on the spot. If you guys want to jump in, you can. But
they're like, please don't pass this to me after you.
Yeah.
I don't manipulate anything. I don't know about you, Andrew.
I have literally taken.
Call it something different. We call it using charisma.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, well that would be healthy.
We use our personalities.
There you go. That sounds better.
Weakness is something that I didn't even realize that's what I was doing in unhealth, in a place of unhealth. I didn't even realize that's what I was doing. And often I would find myself, taking, turds and making lemonade. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, and it really was not, it was not what it appeared in. And so, I mean, I'm serious. Like, I have really been in those situations before. And now I think motive. Every time that I think, okay, why do I want to accomplish what I'm accomplishing? Or why do I want to change these circumstances? Because for me, it's about changing things.
Yeah.
It was always about changing the way it looked, the way it felt, the end result. It was always about a change happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you guys experienced that?
Do you guys?
Everybody will be honest. Let's see if anybody will.
Well, no, I will be. Honestly, like, I don't know that I'd have been honest 3 years ago about this, if I'm being truly transparent here, because this is one of the things I think I struggled with the most is I wore a mask in every avenue of my life. Like, I had to be Josh's wife in this scenario. I had to be a business owner in this one. I had to be room mom over here. It was constantly like I was having to shift my personality to fit wherever I was. And going through this situation with counseling and really diving into like who I am at the core, I really have tried very hard to stop putting that mask on, because I want to be the same person. And I always wanted this. I just never got accepted for that. Let me say it that way. I never felt accepted in all those avenues, just being my authentic self. And now I'm just kind of like, I am what you see. Like I'm not gonna wear a certain kind of clothes to church that I wouldn't wear to Walmart on a Saturday night. I'm just not going to do that anymore. Mm-hmm. And so that really did change my perspective. But boy, I have worn masks my entire life up until recently, just trying to fit the mold of what I was supposed to be for anybody and everybody. So,
Andrew, do you relate to that?
Yeah. I think I can, I can relate with that. And I think I'm still wrestling with it. I want to be accepted by different groups. And I think it's also a skill that we have, right? Like we can fit in with any group, right? Like I wasn't like the most popular kid in school, but I was friends with all of them and all the different cliques. Like, and that's how I am now. Like I fit in with everybody and it's a skill, but the manipulation word, I wouldn't say that. I would just say we kind of use our personality to our strength, right?
Well, I'll even say, like, going back to the friendship thing really quickly, like I have found now as I'm older, in life, I'm not old, but like as I'm older, I don't know that I've had lots of friendships, but because I have worn so many masks, I don't think I have had deep, lasting friendships over the course of my entire life. I have a lot of friendships, but I think that plays into that 3. I've always had a hard time just being very vulnerably transparent with people and authentic. And so I had a mask on for that friendship, or I had a mask on for this friendship. And so it's taken me a lot of time to get to a place to where I can truly have like real authentic friendships now, because as a 3, we disguise that sometimes, that who we are.
Well, I find myself too loving the isolation at times. Like I love to isolate and just
I don't have to perform,
which that's the 9, right? That's the 9 path in us. But I love to just like isolate myself and find myself, and that's kind of similar to being able to have those relationships throughout our life that, like Amy said, not necessarily carry or continue those on lifelong.
Well, and Andrew too, you just said like it's a skill. It truly is the 3's like superpower. Like it really is. It is a skill. It is a superpower that you can fit in, and and when you're healthy, and you go to the healthy side of a 9, 9s can see other perspectives and can connect like that. But it's a superpower. It's great. It's just so important though to know when you're like denying who you really are in order to have to fit in, and recognizing, do I really need to fit in with this group? Like, is it going to be true to who I am? Is it going to serve my needs, and the needs of my family?
It's good.
Oh,
you're so smart, Dr. Deb.
You're funny. So one question. So 3s that wing 4 have more of their, are more in touch with their feelings. But as a 3, one question: nothing feels worse than you feel what? What word would that be for you?
When I lose.
Failure.
When I fail.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, I want to win. Like, I do triathlons, and there's people way more athletic than me, but I tell you what, it's not like I'm not looking at my time. Like I don't believe in participation trophies. Like I'm going to give it my all, and I'm going and giving it my hardest and giving it my best. So I think that makes 3s different.
Yeah. So being a mother-in-law to a 3 and knowing all this time he's a 3 before he knew he was a 3. Yeah. So knowing that, I know the passion he has for work. So I'm respectful of that. I know he's in the zone. I'm not going to bother him during the day. I'm not going to reach out then. Like I messaged about Katie's birthday, and I do it when I know he's not going to, because I know that the passion for that. We went to I think it was your first Ironman. No, it was your full Ironman you did, the full one where you like biked 100 and gazillion miles and swam a couple of miles and ran a marathon.
2 oceans, swam 2 oceans.
Yeah. But the funnest part, knowing he's a 3, we had some big heads done of Andrew. Is that what they're called? Big heads?
Fat heads.
Yeah, the fat heads.
And so of course they don't fit, and we flew. So I took a picture of me going up DFW escalator with the fat head of Andrew. And
you don't know how much that made him feel.
I loved it. I was eating it up.
I put him in the seat in the plane, buckled the fat head in, took a picture. I
took a picture with the pilots. Both of the pilots are like turning around and the fat head's there.
Like
awesome.
The whole journey. Here we are
awesome.
with the mask on. We made a fake mask because it was all masked, but it was like knowing he's a 3, just wanting to speak to that,
Yeah.
It was so much fun. But I mean, 3s are so much fun, because
we are fun.
We are
fun.
Yes, we are.
I know. So I said all that because I know, like, for people who loves 3, what do you need? What do you need from them? Because we know that core fear is that they love me for what I can do, but I want them to love me for just who I am. But how would you speak to that? What do you need from those that love you?
Yeah, so Katie and I read the 5 Love Languages book.
Yeah.
And my love language is acts of service. And so, I really I love it when my wife helps contribute to my passions and helps, kind of move them forward, or helps just with acts of service. So that was one of the things that resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just love when Josh tells me I'm doing a good job. Like, I know that's so simple and small, and thankfully he does that. His love language is words of affirmation, but I think I speak that to him so fluidly at this point in our marriage that he also reciprocates that to me, which mine's physical touch. So it's hilarious that I would need that from him, but I do. I think it's just his praise, knowing that somebody's proud of me, and he knows that about me. So as long as he's telling me he's proud of me and that I'm doing a good job and that he's appreciative of what I'm doing, because I do a lot of extra things, for our church. I run our social media and stuff, and those are non-paid, gigs. But at the same time, because he tells me that he's thankful and he's proud and I'm doing a good job, that always speaks a lot to my heart, just that I'm making someone proud.
Amy, me too. Words of affirmation. My love language is words of affirmation. And Shelly, like, I don't need her to tell me the things that I know I'm good at.
Yeah. Because you already know.
Because I already know that. And and I'm like, that's why we insert ourselves and do it, because we know we can do it. I like her to tell me the little things, like, and Shelly's gotten really good at this. Like, one time we had a kind of a heated conversation about me, like, unloading the dishwasher or something. And I was like, I wanted her to say, like, thank you for unloading the dishwasher. And her response as a 1 was, that's what you're supposed to do when you're finished. Finish cycling, you're supposed to, right? Because that's what a 1 is like. That's the right thing to do. But to me, it was like, oh, I wanted you to notice that I did it.
Right.
That I remembered to take the trash out without you telling me. Like, it's trash day and I set the can out there.
Yeah.
Those little things like that we've learned to incorporate into our marriage, and it's really helped us.
Yeah.
And it's hard for her because she's like,
I know.
That's what you're supposed to do. Good job on setting the trash can out. It's like, oh, that makes me feel so good.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I did something right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
We just want to be praised a little bit.
And see,
we worked so hard.
I really thought for all the 3s that it would be words of affirmation for that exact reason.
That's interesting that Andrew's is acts of service.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I love being told I'm doing a good job, but it's the acts of service that it resonates with me.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. So how do others know that you have a need? And I don't mean like others, everybody in public, but just like the people that are important to you. Like, how would Katie know that you have a need? How would Josh know that you have a need?
Yeah, I'm very
Jason's laughing. Jason's laughing.
I'm very direct, with any needs that I have. I don't sugarcoat it, I would say.
Same with me. I think this is why I get mistyped sometimes for the 8. I am I can be very direct with compassion and love. And thankfully Josh says that I do that, but I am just very direct. If I need something, if I need help around the house, or if I need help from a friend, if I'm asking you for help, I genuinely need it, because I won't ask unless there is a genuine need for the help.
Right.
What about you?
Oh, I was laughing. We were all laughing at the same time. That's happened a lot, because I can see like their mind turning, their wheels turning. But so I think one of the things for threes, as Amy was saying, like kind of being mistyped as an 8, is 8s are very blunt. Like they can be very blunt and say what, and I think as 3s, we can kind of say things and get our point across, and everybody still likes us. You know what I mean? Like, I think I
laugh when I'm demanding something. I've learned that. I kind of do the whole like, listen, guys, I love you guys.
Yes.
But I need you to do this.
Right. And it's like such an inviting way where they're like, oh gosh, that's what we needed to do. Okay, let's do it. You know,
the 3s want other people to like them, and 8s don't really.
They don't really give
care.
Yeah, they don't really give.
They don't always care.
Yeah.
The
delivery. I think the delivery. So the way we operate as leaders, I think, are very similar. 8s and 3s.
Yeah.
I think the way in leadership, I think 8s and 3s are very similar. And I think that's probably why I was mistyped. Maybe you too, Amy, mistyped as an 8. But I think the delivery is very, very different in how we can kind of bring people in and get them to be a part of the bigger picture.
So talk to me for a minute, because I am a therapist. Self-care. What does self-care look like for a 3? I know that wasn't on your question, so you're like,
that's fine. Like for me, counseling is obviously, I go to counseling every other week. Definitely something I will probably do for the rest of my life, because it has changed my life. I mean, being in a pastor's home, I was a pastor's kid, pastor's wife, lots of ministerial stuff that's happened in our life. Some tragedy, some grief that we've walked through. And so that is definitely my number one. But number 2, I introvert. When I am done, when it's all been said and done and I need a minute, I will turn into a complete introvert. I will stay inside of my house and just need a full day of rest. I will stay in my PJs. I will drink a Diet Dr. Pepper and eat chocolate, whatever I want to do. And Josh has learned that, like, if I'm going into an introverted space, I need that. It's not because I'm trying to be lazy, which I struggle with as a 3, having that space, because I think that, a 3 struggle with that rest. We struggle with rest a lot.
Big time.
Yes. So when I go into that space, you can tell that it's definitely needed, because I don't typically do that.
But we don't spend long there, do we?
No, we do not.
just enough to get us recharged, and then we're ready.
I just need a day, and then I'm ready.
Yeah.
Andrew,
I resonate with that. Yeah, I would say I like to get alone, and do some meditation or something that really helps kind of clear my mind. And then, there's times where I just want to like do nothing. We have this Tempur-Pedic bed where like your feet go up, and it's this thing called 0G. I just want to sit in 0G like for a day, and then I'll be good the next day.
Listen, this is so funny. Shelly actually makes fun of me for this, and she's a 1, so she can't really understand it, but she still hasn't figured it out. But one of my most favorite things to do, like if Shelly and the kids are gone or something, or if Shelly is out with a friend or something and our kids are busy doing something, and I genuinely have no plans, one of my favorite things to do is to go to a really nice restaurant and eat alone. And I know that sounds really, really crazy, but I love to people watch. And I really enjoy just taking my time and eating and like catching up on maybe my social media feed or whatever. And Shelly's like, I don't understand that. She's like, I really can't understand that.
No, because I cannot do that. As a 3, if I'm alone in a restaurant, I feel like people are judging me and thinking that I have nobody.
Yeah. I have felt that before, but it's so that the end result is so, I don't know. It's part of that isolation thing that you guys are talking about, where you can just
for sure
get at a table
retreat,
for 2 and be by yourself. It's just kind of that feeling. Getting my hair cut is another thing. I pay the really expensive. Shelly doesn't understand this either. She's a cosmetologist and she's like, I could cut it for free. But I really love to go to a place and get a really nice haircut with a really nice fade and, cut my hard part in, trim my beard. Just like I want the $99 package. You know what I mean? Like that feels so good. And the poor little barber or the lady that cuts my hair that I go in there every time, I'm like, remember, no talking. Like this is me time. So I don't feel like you have to interview me because I really would just rather not talk, Yeah. And she gets that. And so she's like, hey, you're paying me the same whether I entertain you or not, Yeah. So that makes me feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of times a lot of my threes will like work out is like self-care, but I'm like, but it's it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Cause Amy is going, no, yes, exactly. Ooh. That's my point. That is my point.
I get massages for self-care. I am not going to a gym for self-care.
I eat a bonbon for self-care. Twinkies,
I'm like, I am eating.
Little Debbie.
Eating and massages, those are self-care to me.
Right. The thing about though that they consider it kind of self is it's that isolation part. It's like they'll put their headphones in, they'll do their workout and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I can kind of get that. But Andrew, I have to say, I cannot see you like all day in the zero gravity. Like you can't.
I mean, you'd be surprised.
He's like, just watch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those babies come looking for you. Dad.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Then it changes. But the massages thing, I got a membership and I do enjoy a massage.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
I have a membership too, Andrew.
So good.
Hey, see? Membership to the massage.
I do too, but my membership is not to work out. My membership is only for the massage and tanning and
I do.
Yeah. So good.
I don't know another number that has that. I do not.
We totally don't have a membership for
the next kind of question I had, and I'm curious. I don't know the answer to this one at all for three, but since threes are so outcome oriented and goal and driven and all of that, how does that affect your relationships?
Well,
my thrives actually. I think it's because Josh is a 5, so he's a researcher by nature, and Josh is much more introverted, very quiet, very reserved, and so our personalities actually go really, really well together. I typically am the one that walks in the door and I'm greeting all the friendships and I pull the friendships in, and then he's the maintainer. Almost like he is the one that makes sure that he knows who they are, what they're about. He asks me questions that I never think of, like, what do they do for work? And I'm like, I don't care. He wants to know all those things. And I'm just like, hey, listen, I made the friendship. You take it from here. And so our relationship actually works really, really well in our number system. So
that's awesome. Yeah. My wife is a 9 and, I feel like we have a really good balance. I think I institute short-term and long-term goals in our marriage and in our family. And, she, I think sometimes doesn't like that. And sometimes she does. It depends. But, it's all compromise and give and take.
Mm-hmm.
You did well playing that safe, Andrew. Really well.
That's great. We're going to make sure that at least
that 3 right there, Shy.
That's going to get in. Yeah. That's going to be highlighted in the podcast.
I mean, knowing her, the 9 that he's married to, like she's bought into his 3-ness, she's bought, and I'm not just trying to speak for her though, but that's the whole thing. And one of the things I think that he didn't say, she's like his biggest cheerleader.
Share the text you got. Can you do that? I mean, the premise of the text, it was like, I'm helping Andrew prepare. I was like, that's awesome. She's such a 9.
She is such a 9.
She's very accepting and supportive and
right.
That's the way I took it.
That's super helpful. Yeah. And that just
because he started training for the first triathlon, like when she was pregnant. with the 5-year-old, and he's trained and competed, all throughout. Mm-hmm. I'm her mom, I'm one of the people she tells things to. She's never once complained. Like she's bought in to all his 3 stuff, I think for a 3, I would think you would have to have that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You do have to have a spouse that buys into your 3. If that is a very hard relationship if the spouse is not bought into that personality type, because our personality types can be very, very hard to be married to, I can imagine.
Yeah. So as we just kind of wrap it up now, we just have another minute or so, but what didn't we say about 3s that you would like to add?
What do you want the world
to know about
3s?
All right, I prepared something on this point, so I'll jump in first.
Right.
I just want everyone to know that Joe Biden, George Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, Winston Churchill, Alexander Hamilton, and Thomas Edison were all 3s. So we are the best out of all of them. So I just had to end with that.
Drops mic, walks off set.
I love that.
It's awesome.
I love that so much. I'm gonna have to go look up more 3s now. Like I'm like, now I'm gonna call them.
I'm your female 3s, Amy.
For me, I think because we are often so mistyped as, having these masks, and like we even like I've read things where we're called liars and like we manipulate, we say all these things. I want people to know that really healthy 3s, people that are really living fully in their 3ness and they're trying to be healthy in that, we are world changers. Like we are the people you want fighting for you. You do not want us against you. You want us fighting with you and for you. You want us on the front lines. You want us helping you lead. You want us to help. A lot of times I think people recluse from the 3s instead of drawing them in because they feel like we're going to take over. And sometimes we might try. I understand that. But a lot of times we really just want to help lead strong and we want to help you accomplish your goal while we're also accomplishing our own. We're actually really lovely people to be around.
I think so too.
I think we're amazing.
You want to add?
I would piggyback off of what Amy has said. One of the things that frustrates me the most is when I'm misunderstood. That is really, really hard for me to take when I'm misunderstood because people maybe have a perception that I was like, oh, no, that's not at all what my end goal was, And so I think just like kind of like Amy, really Andrew was saying earlier too, like we do what we do because we know we can accomplish it and we know. And so like, let us help. Like, I think help is a good word there because 3s are often helping others, not just about our goals. Like if we can look good in the process, that's always wonderful. But I'm going to end on this. I led a men's retreat, a worship event this weekend. And I intentionally picked an all-star team, like rock stars, every one of them. And I didn't take a solo. And at the very end of the weekend, we were right before we were closing the weekend, all of these team members started realizing that I had not taken a solo for the weekend. And they all started rallying for me to take a solo and insert a song. And I was like, no, I want you guys to shine. Because in my health, I've learned that I'm just as content when others around me, when I built a great team and others around me are succeeding just as much as I know I could.
And you've helped them succeed. You've helped them succeed. So you feel value in helping them.
Right. So one of the most crazy, incredible things that happened to me this weekend that they did for me that they probably don't even realize is they made me solo. And in that moment, I was like, that was like accolades for me. That was like words of affirmation for me. It was like, no, we want you've put this team together. You've helped us succeed what we've succeeded in or what we've done this weekend. And I don't know, just like I come home, I'm like, man, that felt great.
Piggyback on that, like that's one thing I think I struggle with a bit is like the accolades, like, because sometimes people will like, compliment me and I'm like, wow, like in this group, like I stand out. I don't like taking the compliments because I'm, in a different place compared to everybody else here. Does that ever feel weird for you guys? Like, you're getting bragged on and you're like, all eyes are on you?
Well, in ministry, they tell you to be very humble and to say, oh, no, I'm not good. Like that's kind of what you're taught. And so growing up as a preacher's kid, I've sang my whole life. And of course I had, a very different voice when I was younger and then versus what I do today, but puberty and, getting older, but vibrato's changed, but no, it's funny because in answering that, Andrew, kind of just wrapping up, I think I've had to learn that it is okay to, that it's healthy, that it, like, as Deb said earlier, that it is a superpower.
Right.
The things that you can do are superpowers. And others onlooking will sometimes think that may be a weakness.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. If you do take the credit.
If you do take the credit or whatever. But I think in a humble spirit, I think I've learned that it's okay to say, instead of suppressing it, to say, you know what? Thank you.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Like, thank you, because it really is what I long to hear.
Because you guys have worked hard. You've set these goals. You've made sacrifices. We didn't even talk about that. But like, there are sacrifices when you're a 3 because you've got to get things done. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This has been great today.
I know.
These are my people.
Yes. These are your people.
These are my people.
Yeah.
3s.
3.
Wonderful.
3s. They're the achievers.
It is.
Yeah.
Hey guys, really all that I want this episode to accomplish is to make sure that we stand out more than any other episode. So I just want to make that clear. So far, 3s have been the best interview.
Oh, we're gonna win. We're gonna win.
Just saying, Andrew, Amy, go listen for yourself.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy day to join us. I thank you for sharing your some vulnerabilities and challenges, experiences. Just give us a little peek into the window of a 3 so we can
looking through the mini blinds.
Looking through the mini blinds. I love that. So thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And next up, our next episode will be 4s. So we'll be looking forward to that. See you guys next time. If this content has been helpful to you, I'd appreciate it if you would please rate the podcast, post it, and share it on social media. And also post a review. If you'd like to get in contact with me, my phone is 479-561-7600 or email Dr. Deborah at anchoredhopecounseling.net or Dr. Deborah at drdebfordoctors.com. Our website at www.anchoredhopecounseling.net has some useful information, and you can also reach out to me through the website. Remember, you are enough just the way you are, and you are loved.